Hello, welcome to Wii Talk, You Listen. I'm Papa Soulburst, and with me my lovely wife, Mama Noona.
I love you.
I love you too. Also with us is our Mig Daddy.
I do not approve of that name.
Too bad. He is our
Okay.
tricky grandpa.
I'm struggling not to laugh. This is horrible.
And finally, our deadly butler.
Hello there, my dear chaps. I'll just sit here and sip my tea, which I don't actually have at the moment. But...
Wonderful.
You actually sounded
And
like
this is Wii
Soul.
Talk, You Listen.
You sounded like Soul doing an English impression, by the way, which...
Yes, if I put on this kind of exaggerated voice, it sometimes does sound in that way.
You almost sound American. American.
Sound like American.
America.
When I sound American, I sound more like this.
That's George Bush.
That is George W. Bush, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's see
Well,
who else
he
we
is-
can offend.
He is the epitome of a good American man. I said it.
We're not very far into this podcast. I mean, we're like
I
a
like
minute
how
and
whenever we
20
intro these
seconds.
episodes, we always start off inevitably with making fun of people of other nationalities.
It's because we have such a great, diverse cultural mix-up here.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we talk, you
American,
listen,
White.
racism.
American, and British. It's such a diverse culture.
Diversity.
Either way you look at
We've
it.
got Carlos, who is Mexican.
That's true.
True.
Guys, I hope you know that, like, my mom is actually Mexican. So I die a little inside when it's used as an insult.
Let's see. I would have to say that anyone who knows your name, if they couldn't figure out what your nationality was, is pretty stupid. Just saying.
I know, right? Bites. Who wouldn't guess that Bites is, like, a Hispanic name?
Exactly. Los Baitas.
Tricky, your Spanish skills are pretty amazing.
Yeah, right up there.
Yes.
You can be
you
like-
should
like
you
a-
should totally hear my French skills, like les games, les ensemble, oui oui.
You can be our translator, like, you can translate the podcast into different languages for us.
Exactly.
I'm down for that.
And then we'll gain, like, 1 million viewers from, like, France and Spain into
Because
Latin
we're the
America.
only international
video
Master
game
podcast.
translator.
France and Spain.
In Canada, guys. In
That's true of Canada.
Yeah, specifically Quebec.
Yeah.
Alright, well, before we get derailed again, I just want to tell people what this podcast is about, and then maybe we'll actually do it. But this podcast is our just 2013 predictions in general, throughout the year, what we think might happen, you know. So that's what we're doing at some point. At some point.
Yeah.
Probably
Eventually,
not.
a video games podcast
No promises.
will come out of this.
Yeah, no promises.
Yeah, we haven't had a lot of planning per se because of the holidays and all. And by not a lot of planning, I'm saying that we know about nothing. The most planning we've done is planned out that intro, which was amazing.
And that was actually pretty much all of you, so we didn't really plan anything.
We just played along with his silly idea.
I like it when you call me Big Papi.
That voice!
So, anyways,
that's what we've degraded to. All right, so since we're going to do our predictions for the new year, do we want to do a big like potluck of it where we just start throwing stuff out? And
Yeah.
No particular
Yeah, I like that
order?
idea.
All right. Well, I'm gonna get this started off right with there is a big, huge thing coming up for Pokemon fans on the 8th, I believe, the 8th of January.
Yeah.
And
Indeed.
that maybe the 7th since like Japan and all. let's talk about what we think is going to come out of that. Is it going to be Generation 3 finally, or what do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, I don't.
Uh,
I know a lot of people want like a Ruby and Sapphire. Is that generation? Yeah, Ruby and Sapphire remake. I don't think we're gonna get one though, only because like
we'll get one
wait,
eventually. I think.
really?
Because
Like,
I don't think we'll get one now, but in a few years probably. I'd find it a bit weird if like the first 3DS game was a remake, because then they have to build all the assets for the 3DS Pokemon engine from scratch to make a remake, when normally they take what they've already done with a new generation and make a remake from that.
That's true. Yeah.
yeah,
I think
that makes-
I think we're gonna get Generation 6 finally, hopefully on 3DS,
Hopefully.
because knowing how well Nintendo is at supporting their most recent handheld with Pokemon games, we'll probably get it on the Game Boy Advance. So, yeah.
I was thinking though, because what would like Game Freak, when they like Game Freak specifically said that like their whole tagline was the 2013 the Pokemon world's going to evolve, and I guess you can take it however you will. Like I'm thinking maybe they might just do something different, maybe because I mean most of the Pokemon games. I mean if you've played the first Pokemon game and the last Pokemon game, I wouldn't really say there's a tremendous difference between the two. I'm thinking maybe they're gonna do something a little bit different this time. Maybe like break the trend.
So you're wanting like a game changer, pretty much.
I mean, it would be nice to like finally have like 3D models of like the Pokemon, like actual animation and stuff like that. Like I mean, even something simple as that. I mean, who knows?
That's what I
Yeah,
think, because the 3DS is the first handheld that can properly handle it.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
First
Nintendo.
Nintendo handle.
Yeah, true, and I think they might like do something along those lines. I think if they do make something like that, it's going to be something more along the lines of Pokemon Colosseum and XD Gale of Darkness. I wouldn't mind that at some point, but
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to be moving.
I'm
I don't
sorry,
think they're
go
going to
ahead.
be moving away from the traditional style anytime soon. I think they're going to keep it a bit more traditional. They might change up a few of the mechanics, because even though we have said yes, it hasn't changed too drastically, but the inside the game battles, it's changed a whole bunch. Because if you play Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, they like barely have all the type stuff going on, and they don't have physical and special attacks at all. But it wasn't until Diamond and Pearl in which they changed all of that up. For a while, it was just depending on the type of the Pokemon, depended on what kind of attack it was, whether it was physical or special. But now they have like each attack having individual stuff, and they added in the EVs and IVs and all those different things. So it's changed a lot. It's just you don't really notice it when you're just kind of casually playing through the game.
One thing that I really hope.
I would think like
I'm sorry, go ahead.
just really quick. I just want to say like I mean I guess I've always like you guys know I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. I do like it, but I would actually like to see like a marriage between the RPG gameplay, like the deep gameplay of like the Game Boy versions, but with the battle system more akin to like the Stadium game, something to really spruce it up. I think that would make it a lot more in depth and more fun to play.
Oh yeah, definitely, I agree with that.
I think that's the
it
next
might
step.
sound, or might be a weird thing that I hope that they change is I really hope they get away from the grid format finally, because
Yeah.
I think full 360 degree movement would be a very cool thing to have in a Pokemon game. Because I just beat Pokemon Black 2, and having that circle pad really could benefit Pokemon games being able to move anywhere off of a grid format. So that's probably just me, but that's something that I would hope that they change.
Completely.
Yeah, I don't think it's just you. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are just craving for a 3D game, and they tried that kind of with the Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, but The only problem with both of those games is they didn't even try to implement wild battles or anything like that. They had to do the whole shadow Pokemon thing, and the wild Pokemon in XD Gale of Darkness was really, really weird. So I think the simplest way to do that would be like small areas where you can, like, small areas where random encounters do happen, and just like implement a random encounter system, and that's about it. But other than that, I don't think I don't know exactly how they would do it. But then again, that's not my job; that's their job.
I think a lot of people are also. I think a lot of people are assuming that it's going to be a 3DS title. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
We could definitely see like a completely different iteration of Pokemon that we haven't really seen before on the Wii U, for instance. I mean,
Yeah.
something that integrates, like, because I mean, I was thinking about it. I mean, looking that this is Nintendo's first real foray into the online gaming universe with the Wii U. I mean, even though the Wii did have the functionality, I mean, the Wii U is really their online baby to say. So, I mean, I would imagine maybe Nintendo's really looking at opening up a lot of their stuff, like, into the online world. And I mentioned before, like, I really hope, if we get, like, a new, like, the next Mario Party, or or we get the next Mario Kart U or something, that they really used online to full functionality. I would definitely anticipate that if they did do something Pokemon related on the Wii U, for instance, that we would see a huge online presence.
I think that
What
would
about
be very
a,
interesting.
Yeah, what would you guys think of the idea of a Pokemon MMO? Would you guys be into that?
I
It'd be
would.
cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they already. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that they already
Yeah,
said
they already
that it
said-
would never happen.
Yeah, they said
Yeah,
that
but-
and they can't see that happening anytime soon.
Just
Which
throwing
it doesn't
that
have to be
idea
like
out
an
there.
MMO in a sense. Like, I think maybe even, like, I don't know, I think maybe, like, me and Meg are thinking on the same lines, maybe I'm wrong, but, like, my thought, like, not like an MMO, but more like a bigger game, like, for instance, like a game that involves, like, all the different regions, so you have access to, like, all the Pokemon, not just the current generation Pokemon. Something where it's just a really big game that is, like, you can go through single player, but is also something that, on the fly, like, for instance, you can have, like rankings or something where a player can actually become, like, he can end up becoming one of, like, the gym leaders, and other people can, like, connect online. They can see, like, you go into, like, gym A, you can see who the top ranked people are, and you can, like, choose to fight them and take over the position. But a bigger game that incorporates gameplay, but not on a MMO scale, I guess.
That'd be cool.
I don't want it to be a WoW clone. It needs to be something its own thing.
It wouldn't be a WoW
That'd be
clone.
really hard to do that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you'd make Pokemon into a WoW clone.
Well, like the idea of it just being a traditional kind of RPG. I want it to be something new if they're gonna go to all the trouble to make it its own MMO. Like what you said, where people can become gym leaders and part of the Elite Four and the champion and various things like that. If it's just a game where I'm going around doing a quest, I don't know how it can be a normal Pokemon game as an MMO, and I think they would have to completely reinvent the wheel for MMO, and I think that would be pretty amazing if they actually tried and do that.
Well, how about, something as simple as, again, it's a single player, you're playing through the game, but then, like, when you get to major city hubs, then it's connected, so all the people, it can be something as simple as just the people that are on your friends list, or, general crowd, the people who are in that city to time, you'll see them, you'll be able to trade with people items, you can talk to people, you could battle people and everything and make it, but then, when you're out in the world, it's your own thing, so people aren't hoarding, like catching Pokemon or anything like that. But it just kind of connects you, so you can choose, kind of if you want to incorporate, talking with other people and dealing with them or something like that.
Yeah, like, I'm
Yeah,
the
that would,
complete opposite. I actually, like, I've always felt like Pokemon would have made an amazing MMO, because the format's already kind of there in the game itself. So I don't think the transition between the Pokemon games to MMO would actually be that difficult at all. By the way, Chucky, whatever you said was just amazing. That actually sounds really cool.
Thank you.
Now, let's say it isn't the next generation of Pokemon, or a remake of Ruby and Sapphire, or a Pokemon MMO. What do we think it's going to be then? like Pokemon Ranger, maybe a return of that? Are they just going to announce Pokemon Mystery Dungeon in the U.S., or have they already done that?
They've already announced Mystery Dungeon for the US,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
Pretty
so
sure
we know
that's
it's not that, thankfully.
already presumed. But
Okay. Or maybe like something brand new, maybe a brand new spin-off, or a Pokemon Conquest, a brand new one for the 3DS.
That would
I
be
think it'd be too soon for one of those.
Yeah, well,
well,
they
Pokemon
poop out
generation.
they poop out Pokemon games like crud, so you know.
Yeah. I'm actually
you-
shying away from the idea of a Generation 6, only because we just got Pokemon Black 2 and White 2.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, but
actually
it'll be
kinda
like a good 5 or 6 months before we get any or actually have the game in our hands. So by
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it'll be almost a year.
generally,
well, at least
I
in
think
Japan.
in Japan it'll be like if it's announced on the 8th, a new generation. I think Japan late this year, us beginning of next year.
Most likely, I can see Holiday. We'll probably, I mean, they probably wouldn't show anything off because we usually don't get Pokemon information at E3. But I can see maybe, like through Nintendo Direct or something, we'll get more information. And
Yeah.
I can definitely see a Japan launch like Holiday this year or something, and us next year.
Yeah.
Nintendo Direct has like launched so many more possibilities for announcements. Nintendo really set themselves up really well with that. It's something that no other company really does, like information straight from the people who make it. You never have to question, like, is this actually going to happen? No, like, Nintendo actually made a video and put it out and everything, telling you, yes, this is happening, here's some gameplay, here's some description and everything like that. I love Nintendo Direct.
I do and I don't. Like, I do love it for the reasons you said, but I don't because I get tired of, like, surprise announced
Yeah.
like directs that talk about nothing, and you're like, thanks for wasting my time.
Well,
Yeah, they need to
you
plan
know-
those better and more in advance than just like 2 days before. Like, oh hey, we're going live at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. You know, it's kind of annoying that they do it that way, but I'm really glad they exist because I like hearing information directly from people, like Soul said.
And
Yeah,
bananas.
bananas are an important part of the Nintendo diet.
Yeah. On top of just having all the information come directly from developers' mouths, they actually make them somewhat entertaining sometimes. They just add those like stupid things, and then they inevitably become Nintendo memes.
Like Pervert Iwata.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can't see any other company doing that. Like you won't have the CEO of Microsoft or Sony coming up and doing a video like that because it's just like it was too unprofessional for like high class companies.
Just like you, Tricky. So,
Sorry, I totally zoned out for a second, so I really didn't hear what you said.
then never mind.
Wow, very polite.
No, I apologize. Like I'm prone to zoning, and my eyes were fixated on something else, and I just came back to reality. So I apologize.
I'm staring at the word yes. Literally. But that's besides the point. I think that... when do you guys think there will be the next Nintendo Direct? Will we see one this month? Like, it'll probably be this month before
probably.
we see
Oh yeah,
anything.
definitely.
I assume the
They-
Pokemon announcement is going to be through a Nintendo Direct.
Oh no.
No,
One
it's
would think
through
so. I don't know.
that one
Pokemon
Japanese
Smash.
show that they normally announce Pokemon
Pokemon
things on.
Smash.
Yeah.
Pokemon Smash.
Yeah, but
that's right.
the North American Pokemon page said that they were announcing something too. So, or North American Facebook page for Pokemon. So maybe they'll do that for Japan, and then we'll get a Nintendo Direct or something.
Or
I don't know. Maybe they'll just like get the website or the trailer up or something.
Well,
Maybe,
you know,
yeah.
they haven't announced a Pokemon game, like, to us since Nintendo Direct has been out, like, something this big. They haven't had, like, one of those big, huge events with Pokemon Smash since Nintendo Direct started. So this could be something they're going to start doing. I don't know. I mean, because Pokemon is, like, their biggest franchise, but Nintendo barely talks about them. Usually all of it is done through the Pokemon Company in Japan, and we don't hear Nintendo say Pokemon hardly ever.
Yeah. I think we'll see a Nintendo Direct come up soon. I honestly don't know if we'll see one this month though, because I figure like next month you have next month alone we got Fire Emblem Awakening and we have Rayman. We have Rayman coming out for the Wii U, so I was thinking maybe next month we might see one with a little bit more information.
Well, the only thing is, Fire Emblem comes out in exactly like 30 days, so I don't think it's going to be next month. I think it's going to be like one this month at least.
I find it most likely to be the end of January.
Yeah, this we're kind of midway through the launch window, and we don't know many of the supposed titles that were supposed to be announced, or have any sort of concrete information on a lot of the announced titles for the Wii U yet. So I do think we'll get some sort of information by the end of this month, because it'd be kind of stupid to release it any later.
And by the way, the Pokemon announcement from Pokemon's official Twitter says that they want us to check Pokemon.com, so...
Okay.
I don't know if that means... that probably means there's not going to be a Nintendo Direct. It's probably just going to be a trailer launched on their website. Unless it's a Nintendo Direct launched on their website, but I think Nintendo would have said something about it if there was going to be a Nintendo Direct. And also, they told us, 7 days in advance. We never get that kind of warning with a Nintendo Direct. We get, it's January 6th, and guess what's happening January 8th? That's right, a huge announcement which is going to change the face of the Earth.
It's not 7 days till January the 8th.
No, when they announced it, it was.
Oh, right.
Our gullible butler.
I thought you were getting confused with your times here.
Hey, Deadly, if you say gullible really slowly, it sounds like oranges.
No, it doesn't. Not before.
You thought about it for a second, though. You thought about it for a second.
It was a really good response.
I had to... No, for a millisecond I did.
Oh,
He's like,
I'm
does
not
it?
falling for your tricks.
And you know what really made me sad about 2012 though was Nintendo Power is gone. I don't know what we're gonna do without it.
I feel really sad for you guys.
Wait a minute. Oh, wait.
We have actually, there is a new magazine coming out to take Nintendo Power's place in the United States.
What?
Yes. If for anyone who hasn't heard or is unaware, there is actually a magazine it's going to be called Nintendo Force. They are on Facebook if you want to add them. Their most recent update actually said that they're putting the finishing touches on the debut issue. It's going to be digital download and physical copies. There's no information for subscribing or anything yet because they still haven't finished the first issue. But I guess they're going to be announcing all the information very shortly. So it seems like it's a bunch of different writers and editors from other websites like OneUp or Destructoid and other magazines have all got together to do this Nintendo Force magazine. So hopefully it'll be cool, but everyone should definitely check out their Facebook and keep up to date with what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a magazine already out for that as well. It's not quite so diverse, but there's a website called purenintendo.com, and they started their own magazine quite a while ago. And in fact, they had a Kickstarter for it too, and they succeeded. And the magazine's going pretty strong. I like each issue that's laid out really well. I think Noona, you have it too, don't you?
Yeah, they're bi-monthly, so they don't release a magazine every month. But they also have digital and physical subscription, and they're both U.S. and international, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
So it's a really good magazine as well, and I think both of them together will make a very good substitute for Nintendo Power. And in fact,
I agree.
Weren't these?
Yeah,
If-
definitely hope so.
if I remember correctly, Nintendo Force has some editors from Nintendo Power joining it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope one of them lasts. I mean, that'll be so great because it's not having Nintendo Power is it's just it feels like there's a big void in the gaming world without them there, and I can't imagine because I mean like pure Nintendo is only like $20 for a 1 year subscription or 10 for a digital. So I mean it's actually really cheap. I mean even though instead of getting 12 issues you're only getting 6, that's still a good cost, and they still haven't said what Nintendo Force is going to be doing. So maybe they'll do bi-monthly, except like on the other months that they're not doing it. Then that'll be sweet.
Yeah, and I love just
I would-
getting magazines and looking through them and all. So having multiple magazines is not a problem by me.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
shame that
definitely.
magazines are like a dying medium because I really do enjoy magazines.
Hmm.
So it's
I do as
people
well.
step up to the plate for Nintendo's sake.
And it's a good plan to make the print more expensive, just because not as many people will get into the print versions, and it costs more for them. But I wish that online magazines that were digital were a bit more easier to get through, because I have Game Informer digital, and I just have so much trouble going through it. It's like so clunky. I can't figure out how to get through it. It's in this weird PDF file, and I just don't like it nearly as much as I like a physical copy I can just kind of turn through, or an actual website.
Yeah.
So right now digital
Agreed.
magazines are just not good enough, I think.
I just like I could never buy a digital magazine because it's like if I'm the only point of a magazine for me is the feel of a magazine in your hands scrolling through it, like. But if I was just going to read it on my computer or like on a phone or a tablet or something, I just feel like there's other ways I can do that don't involve the whole hassle of a magazine, kind of.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been saying it for so long. Like Deadly, you hit the nail on the head. It's like, listen, it's like, yeah, I buy magazines because I like being able to have them and flip through them and look at them when I'm not on my computer. If I'm on my computer, I'm sorry, I'll go to like Nintendo Life, or I'll go to IGN or countless hundreds of other websites to find the information I want on the internet. So I don't see a point paying for a digital subscription when I can get it for free on other websites.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I do think it would be interesting if you could look through your magazines on your Wii U or Nintendo 3DS. I think that would be incredibly interesting. But
Well, they're actually
speaking
gonna
of
do that.
Nintendo 3DS, Mutant Mudds 2 was just announced for that, so that's really cool. First game was
Yes.
apparently
Well, no,
really good.
it hasn't. They didn't say yet if it's going to be for 3DS or Wii U. They just said that they're developing Mutant Mudds 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they just said eShop at this point. I would assume it's actually going to be on both.
Yeah,
3DS and
I think.
I would think so. Yeah.
because isn't the first one coming out on Wii U sometime in the future?
The deluxe
It should-
version's
yeah, it
coming
should be
out, I
soon.
think, this month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it should be soon.
I still need to play that. Does anybody know if it's actually any good?
No, I haven't played it, but a lot
I
of
haven't
people
played
have
it yet,
enjoyed
but
it.
I've only heard good things about it. So
Okay.
I played the demo, and it was nails hard, so I stopped playing it because I'm not a masochist. But it was still pretty fun. But hard games are hard, and I don't like playing them sometimes.
Are you sure you're not a masochist? You subject yourself to that Okami game so much. I mean,
Mm. Mhm,
Yeah, but
mhm.
he enjoys it. Like,
Yeah.
it
Fair
might
enough,
be
I'm a
mental
masochist.
torture for us to play it so many times, but for him, it's just eternal bliss, basically.
that's true.
Ignorance is bliss, maybe? I don't know. So
I don't even know where you guys are going with all of that.
somewhere over the
I have
rainbow.
no idea.
No,
That's our special place, right?
that's our special place. We'll fly together forever.
forever. Alright, so getting away from sappy stuff, what about Project Cross Zone? Is that game getting localized? I really want it to.
Pretty sure it is.
Okay, so were you not there when we were talking about this?
No, I don't
No.
think he was. He was
No, and
practicing.
it also
Okay,
wasn't
I'm
on
sorry.
the podcast when that happened.
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's
so-
true.
no, well, we're talking about it before, but I think that's when you were playing like with your finger puppets in front of your mirror. So I don't know, you missed it or something. But Project X Zone has not been announced for the U.S. and it really seems like we most likely aren't going to get it. I mean, it could change. There was actually an article on Nintendo Life I want to say a couple days, maybe a week ago. Like retailers in Japan have so many copies because it's just not selling that they're blowing copies out. So like 78, I think like the special first print is like $79 or $89 or something. They're blowing them out for literally like $10-20 a piece just to get rid of them, and it's not selling at all. So Namco Bandai did state they were looking into a U.S. launch, but the way sales are going, it doesn't seem likely. I would like to see it here. I think like the West would definitely eat it up and buy a lot, but who knows?
I remember
I think
seeing
what they might plan to do is just hold it off for ages so that they can get more publicity for it. So basically, when they finally do announce a localization, it has more attention so that it potentially could sell better.
So Pole is in a blade?
Yeah, basically.
Well, okay, I don't think that's gonna happen, because I saw an article somewhere where the developers of Project Cross Zone were saying something about, we are surprised at like how many people are excited about the game in the West. So I think we might see it because of their reaction. They said, we're not announcing anything right now, but they're impressed by how many people are interested in the game.
Yeah, they did say that, and that does give me hope. But I mean, for them though too, like being that like Japan is like like the one place that still does eat up these types of games normally, and it just isn't selling at all. Then unfortunately, it to them it probably seems really horrible, and maybe that's what they're weighing all their options, because I really don't know what goes into localizing things. But I mean, my way of thinking is that like you can actually for anyone who imports, I mean, if you have a Japanese 3DS, you can go on to, like, I was just looking it up earlier, you can go on to Yahoo Auctions Japan and you can buy like that first print special edition that's normally like $80, and like there's auctions where you can pick it up for like $16-20 brand new.
Well, speaking of like localization, Bravely Default Flying Fairy is another one of those games that we want to be localized in the U.S. And actually, the reason why Project Cross Zone isn't selling as well is apparently because it came out pretty much the same exact time Bravely Default was, and Bravely Default was like selling off the shelves almost as good as like Animal Crossing was. It was selling crazy good when it launched.
Yeah, I really hope if we do get Bravely Default, like I know, like I really want the special edition that Japan got that has like the it has like the really cool like VR calendar and stuff. Like I really want that.
That would be
Special
amazing.
edition and don't really sell well in the U.S. though, like at all.
I don't understand. I always buy a special edition everything. If there's a special edition, I buy it. I don't know why, especially RPGs. I don't know why people don't. There's always cool stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know that like the Code of Princess special edition is probably still selling now. Actually, it's really sad.
Well, I'm looking at an article right now, and Bravely Default sold 141,000 copies on its first week,
That's insane.
which is almost 85% of its initial shipment. But Project Cross Zone sold about 58% of its initial shipment. So that means that, doing the whole ratio of how many people are in Japan, Bravely Default pretty much sold the equivalent of like 1 million copies if it was here in the US.
Yeah.
But Project Cross Zone sold like almost as well as Kingdoms of Amalur, which sold pretty okay, but it was just overshadowed by everything else.
Yeah, I think that the studio that made Kingdoms of Amalur like shut down a few months after the game came out. So, not saying that's
Yeah.
going to happen to Project X Zone guys, but
Yeah,
It doesn't
the reason why
bode
that
well.
happened and all is because 38 Studios took a loan out from the government, and the
Yeah.
government was like part of the project and all. But when it came up to pay all their dues, they didn't have the money to pay it, so the studio got completely shut down. And I don't know what happened to all the licenses and everything. They might all just be gone.
Didn't
Stuff like that.
Epic Games
EA owns them,
buy
I think.
the
Maybe.
buy the license? And I think they even made a new studio where all the people who got inevitably fired were able to go. So maybe we will see a sequel eventually.
Maybe. I heard really good things about that game. It's just it didn't sell as much as they wanted it to because it came out really close to where Skyrim and all those other things came out. So it just wasn't a good time for the game to be released. Which I think is
I don't even know if it's so much even that too. Is it came from a fairly unknown developer, and it's sad because it is actually a really good game, and definitely worth picking up. And you could probably pick it up fairly cheap right now. So
yeah, and let's see, they started in 2006, made one game, and then died in 2012. And
Yeah, basically.
I'm trying to see. Rhode Island owned everything, but I don't think it doesn't say where they gave all their rights. I think it wasn't EA because they published it. I don't know. But anyway, enough sad news.
I know, that makes me really depressed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, don't we have one more sad news story that we want to cover specifically about Sony?
No?
Go for it, Mig.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go for that.
All right. Well, for those of you who don't know at this point, basically, I think it was just a couple days ago, Sony filed a patent that would effectively get rid of all secondhand games. So that means you can't buy like a used game or or loan a game to a friend. It's tied to your specific account or to console. We haven't exactly figured out what this means yet, but my opinion of this is that it's stupid, and I think they'd be insane to act on it. So I don't think they will, because companies tend to patent things even though they will never end up using them, just to say they have the patent for it. I think it'd be a really dumb thing for them to do, because, I mean, even today, I went out and bought 2 used PlayStation 3 games for way cheaper, and I think if they decided to get rid of that, it would inevitably alienate a lot of their customers. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this whole thing?
I don't see it being successful because of all the shops and stores and such that make so much profit off of used games. Basically, it's just giving them the finger, and I don't think it'll sit too well with like GameStop and all that.
I think if
absolutely.
they actually do it, GameStop is actually going to be like, you're not going to let us sell our secondhand games? Well, it looks like we're not going to stock these PlayStation 4 games anymore. You know, in the end, they'll just shoot themselves in the foot until digital distribution becomes more of a reliable market.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the issue with that is that they not only have to like cross paths with the game chain stores, but like the game developers themselves also have a say in the way their games are distributed. So that's something they may have to face. I know some game companies may be okay with that. I feel like that's something Capcom would be all up in arms for. But there are others that actually do care about the market and stuff that I know won't be. Sorry, Capcom, I like dissed you there.
Well,
I
I
realize-
know that THQ was very big on this, but of course we all know what happened to them, so...
THQ isn't exactly around anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're around, they're just
And the thing
don't
is,
have
like-
any money.
The thing is, like, I mean, I can understand, like, from a perspective, like, I can understand, like, you know, like, the point of view from, like, the developers, too, being like, well, like they say like every time someone buys a used game, it's one less sale that we lose out on. But at the same time, it's like the way I look at it is people like I know people who buy nothing but used games. Like the only time I ever really buy used games if there's a tremendous price difference. Like if I have a choice between buying like a mint condition copy of a game for $10 as compared to like $29.99, I will totally buy that.
Yeah.
But usually I buy new. But you figure the amount of people out there though that just buy used. Obviously they buy used because they don't want to spend the money. So they wouldn't spend the money anyways. What's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the lesson here is that we are all broke. So to take away one of our most viable options to play games is not a very good idea. Ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
If that happens,
People would- Yeah, go on.
if this happens, and they implement it into the new PlayStation 4, that will cement the fact that I won't buy a PlayStation 4 for at least a long time, because there was also rumors about the Xbox 720 or whatever it's going to be called doing this as well, and
There
that
are
would make.
rumors of you doing it though.
Well, the only problem with that is it's hard to support that with a console that's already released. You can't really put it in later, just because you can put an update to the game later into the system, but people can still buy the used games and just not update their Wii U.
Yeah, I meant the rumors before the Wii U's release. Sorry.
Okay, that makes more sense. But if it does end up happening, and both companies do it, then Wii U is gonna win, basically.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, if you have these like good few $100 consoles, which are very powerful, probably a lot more powerful than the Wii U, but they're this expensive and you can't play used games on them. I mean, you're going to have to buy an expensive console, and then you're going to have to spend more money because you're going to have to keep buying new games all the time.
Well, I think
It's
another thing
not
is
really going to do well.
I think another thing is the situation with like GameStop not supporting them as much. They wouldn't be like, oh, here's like a deal with the used games. They're gonna be like, here's a deal with just the Wii U, because they're not gonna support anyone else because they're not supporting their business endeavors.
Like I can see
So-
GameStop like opening up a lot more space for the Wii U games in their stores if this happens.
Hmm I also
Yeah.
don't think that the next consoles are going to be that much of a step ahead, just because of how much it would cost to make the huge leap of a $600 console. It would be absolutely ridiculous if that happens again. Sony learned their lesson, so they're not going to do it again.
No, it seems like from what we've seen from all the rumors and like the patents and everything is it seems like Sony and Microsoft are both starting to explore alternate gameplay as compared to high-end graphics, kind of like with like how the Wii U decided to go.
Possibly, but I feel like if they don't have enough to set apart the new consoles from the PS3 and 360, they're gonna have a lot of trouble convincing people to buy it. And generally with Sony and Microsoft, I think the only way they really can set them apart is with graphics, because they won't have the same sort of charm that the Wii did to set it apart from the GameCube and all that.
Yeah, they kind of shot themselves in the foot in that respect, and that like when you think 360 and PS3, you don't think of gameplay, you think of like all these amazing technical specs.
Basically.
Yeah, so I think more people are going to be looking for that, and they might disappoint if they don't deliver on that front.
If anything, it's just going to be like as powerful as the most powerful PC right now. And so that's not going to support them for very long, because when the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 did come out, they were more powerful than on the market PCs. Not for very long. It was for about 2 years they were the most powerful things out there. But after a while they couldn't keep up with all the enhancements. And so people who want to keep up with the latest tech are going to be PC gamers now, because it's just not the same as it was back in the 1980s and 1990s, where systems were more powerful than their computer counterparts and were more central to playing video games. Now video games is a market that is done all over, and multi-plats is a big, huge thing. And so I think we're going to see more people taking advantage of things like the Wii U gamepad and like doing different sorts of gameplay, because we can't just keep upgrading graphics. That's not something that will make this market keep going.
Yeah. Well, also, when you hit like the plateau, which we are so close to getting there, it's like, where do you go from the pinnacle of graphics? You know, there's only one other way to go.
Right.
Basically,
Or virtual
I
reality
think when
gaming.
I think when we hit the plateau, though, games will just, because we have reached the pinnacle, basically, it'll be like when we started getting HD film and all that, and like movies could move from like black and white to slightly better color to decent color to HD color, and now it's just reached consistency, like where you can compare a movie from like 20 years ago to now, and it's about the same generally in a lot of cases.
That is true. Like, you've seen the movie industry is kind of hit a cap on what all they can do without going into things that are sci-fi, like the holodeck and various things like that. It's going to plateau on the innovation side of graphics and looks without like being stylized with games such as Okami and Journey and various things like that. But the movie industry hasn't gone down at all since then. They've stayed at the same level, so if not gone up. So I don't think we're going to see that happen. I think we're just going to see more gameplay changes, more differences within the input device, because it's what gaming is about. It's about playing it, not looking at it like a movie is.
Yeah, but at this point, is it
to...
even worth launching a new console for a new controller? Because if you look at something like the PlayStation Move, Sony just patched the PlayStation 3 to have that be available on it, and suddenly every game, or not every game in the library, but it's open to everything. So do you guys think we'll ever reach a point where there just won't be any new consoles because there isn't going to be a need for it?
I don't think so for a while anyway. I think it may happen eventually, but we keep upgrading like graphics processing units and processors. Like right now, our system isn't perfect. Like we can have really good graphics and all, but what matters is like how much of the world you can process within that graphics with still having 60 frames per second and great rendering distance. I think that's what's next. I think they're going to start upgrading those parts of it, and then as that gets higher, then once we get to the cap of that, that's when we're going to stop making new consoles and just make a whole bunch of brand new peripherals, maybe.
I will agree, because I mean, you look at games, like there's games out there that I'm actually going to use this game as example, is Metro 2033. Like graphically it looks great, but my problem with it is the character models are very robotic. They're not very human-like. There's lots of really good-looking games that technically, though, like shadows look horrible, or mechanics and like how like something as simple as like hair moves in the wind looks really silly, and that takes away from the realism. So I think we're going to see just a lot of tweaks in engines that makes subtle details like that far more detailed to add to the realisticness of certain things.
But is it going to be worth the price to get a new console, like $300 to get the PlayStation 4, for it to be able to render someone's hair more accurately? Is it? I would think at some point people are just going to stick with what they have because it's good enough for them.
Well, exactly.
I think
we will see a peak.
Moving away from like graphical improvements and towards like AI improvements and animation improvements. So we're still moving towards realistic stuff, but it's more in like less how it looks, more how it actually is. Because
yeah.
Well, as long as game developers feel they want to like take advantage of this stuff. We're gonna keep buying stuff because what keeps us on a console isn't what we see the console can do. It's the games that are on it. I could care less if the Wii U came out if it didn't have a game that I wanted on it. So in the end, that's what matters is the games, and what a console. As long as developers keep making games for the console, people will keep playing a console. And in fact, that's why PlayStation 2 just stopped production in 2000, like at the end of 2012, beginning of 2013, that they stopped developing them, producing them, but people were still buying PlayStation 2s, and not very many, but there were still a few like Madden games that were reskinned and various things like that. And
ironically enough, that's the exact same reason why the PlayStation Vita is doing so horrible.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
PlayStation Vita is not getting any games, and that's why the 3DS was doing really bad at first. But now we are starting to see some support, and this year looks really great on the support front with Fire Emblem and Animal Crossing and Castlevania and Luigi's Mansion and Monster Hunter.
Have you guys, like, from like what you said before, like we're talking about how input styles are going to change, but have you guys seen the rumors of what the 720 and PS4 are going to actually be doing for input?
No.
I would assume a tablet controller.
Well, from again, these like rumors are rumors for a reason, and like some of these have been like have said to have patents out there, but like right now, like the big rumor around the PS4 one is that's to be called the PlayStation Omni is supposed to be the name, and apparently it's going to have a head-mounted like VR display is going to be its big thing, and apparently they're going to have a version with the head-mounted display and a version without it. So it's basically going to act as like a HUD. So like if you're playing like Call of Duty or whatever, it's actually going to be like a VR HUD in front of your face where you know you'll be able to see like ammo and stuff, and like have like a mini map and stuff like that. And it's not going to be actually on a TV screen; it'll be on your HUD. And the rumors surrounding the 720 is that it's going to have Kinect 2.0 built into it, and that it's actually going to have the capability of shooting images out onto your walls and stuff like that. So I don't know how true it is, but that's the rumors going around right now.
Well, we all know how the Kinect 1.0 worked out, so it'll be interesting to see if that is true.
Yeah.
How beautiful it'd be.
When you were describing the PlayStation Omni, I brought up a picture on my computer of the Virtual Boy, so I'm going to say they're copying Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that all in jest, but it sounds like if this happens, that would be a really cool addition, but I just can't see that happening.
I can see it happening actually, because someone was developing a similar thing for the PC, some kind of head-mounted display kind of thing. If they can make a breakthrough with the technology and actually make something that works decent rather than just like absolute trash like the Virtual Boy, then it can definitely work out for them, but I'm not sure about as the main display for the system.
Have you seen the Have you seen the little prototype, the patent that Sony put up with the two sides of a PlayStation controller with like the little move balls on it, and you could like put it back together and stuff? That would be a very interesting thing to have if it was like ergonomic and all. That might be something they're working on.
Yeah, actually talking about this makes me think that maybe this would be a good time for us to talk about our 2013 predictions.
Oh, we weren't already talking about that?
I thought that's what we were doing this entire time.
Well,
our personal predictions instead of like the whole talking about what's going on.
I'm not sure about new consoles being announced at E3 or around that time, because I don't feel like there's been enough build up to it, because what have they really... There's been no official statements, and we're already in January of 2013. Realistically,
I think
actually, hasn't Microsoft said that they're going to unveil something big at E3? I could have sworn I remember reading something about that the other day.
I want to say that we are going to see the 720 or for whatever it's going to be called. I think we're going to see it at this E3 with a launch window of next holiday or holiday season of 2014 is what I would anticipate.
I think they have to announce something because this past console generation has gone on long enough. It can't keep on going the way it is.
The thing is, people have been saying the Xbox 720 was meant to come out like holiday 2013, and if that is the case, I just don't think there's enough time between E3 and like November-ish to really get that going.
Oh yeah, I don't think it'll
Especially
come out
considering
this
it's a
year.
short
I
window.
just think it'll be announced this year because Microsoft cannot, or Sony for that matter, cannot allow Nintendo to have a 2-year advantage on them in terms of new console because that'll just cripple either of their new consoles. So maybe not holiday this year, but maybe early next year is when we'll start seeing something new come out.
Absolutely.
And we don't
I
know
think
how-
we'll definitely see announcements from both of them at E3.
And we don't know how long they've been working on this. They could have been working on this for a while now. They've done a really good job on keeping this in the quiet. They've done like a Nintendo job of keeping this quiet. So
Well, yeah. I mean, what you look at Nintendo said like what they started working on the Wii U like the year after the Wii launched. So I mean they've been working for a while.
right. So and I think that I'm just looking at this article where they confirmed the day for the E3 2013 Microsoft press conference, and something about this says that there will be a big announcement here, and it could be just Halo 5 or something like that, or Bungie's next game, because they said something about it being special on the Xbox, but we don't actually know what's going to happen, and I keep saying that they can't go another year without a new console, but then again, we have a lot of games that we're seeing coming out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, but when the Wii was coming down to when the Wii U was coming out and the Wii was the console left, I mean, we saw a huge drought. Like Skyward Sword, Xenoblade Chronicles, and The Last Story were like the only games that we saw come out during that time period. And so
I think that was because that was the Wii, though.
I don't. Yeah, that's
True.
I don't think you can compare the Wii to the. I mean, if you look at like the PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 1 for that, it's, like Sony's always had a pretty blockbuster final year. The Xbox system had a really big last final year too. As they want to go out with a bang. I mean, realistically, I think with Sony and Microsoft, you look at it this way, like same thing. Look how many people are still buying Wii systems, or how many people are still buying DSs over 3DSs. Like they know that not everyone's going to have the money to go to next gen, so they want to have hot games going right to the very bitter end.
True.
I think the
It
Xbox
is.
360 will be like the PS2, and it'll go on for like 12 years after it came out, and probably
I don't know
still
if
get
it's-
like shovelware in
No,
that time.
I don't know if it's going to go that long, but
Well,
it
the
is going to last
PlayStation 2,
longer.
I mean, technically, what PlayStation 2 was out for what? Realistically, before the PlayStation 3 came out, wasn't 12 years. It just took that long for the PlayStation 2 to discontinue. The same thing. That's how when they remade the PS1, that kind of lingered for a long time after. And the Wii's. I guarantee people will still be buying Wii systems like another 2 years from now as well.
I think
we'll see something new though.
Yeah, I think we just kind of have to, with the whole everyone's getting hyped for it on other consoles. Like, we're Nintendo fans, so we feel a little bit less of it. I mean, we're all fans of other consoles as well, but we're more Nintendo oriented than anything else, so we feel a little bit less of it. We just got our new console, so we're not really craving a new console as much as everyone else maybe, And from what I see on like YouTube and other friends' reactions, people want a new console, and they're just really hyped for this year's E3 to figure out what might happen.
Yeah. Just giving like my outlook for 13. I think we will see I think 13 is gonna be a big year for all three uh, hardware. Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, because I mean, Nintendo has the follow-up to their biggest console launch of all time with the Wii U. So I mean, they're definitely going to have software up their sleeve. I mean, from what they said, there's going to be games coming out between now and March that haven't even been shown yet. That's what's been said. Plus whatever new stuff they have. So I mean, they have to prove that that they have ton of support down the pipeline. Then you're going to have Sony, Microsoft talking about their final their final years, what games are coming out, and new hardware. So I think this E3 may potentially be like an E3 of E3s, like one of the best yet.
Yeah, and it has to be for Nintendo's sake anyway.
I think
Especially
Nintendo.
all these rumors turn out to be true.
I think Nintendo's going to have to make this something special. They're going to have to make this a E3 kind of like I think it was 2010. I think I'm thinking of the right one with Donkey Kong Country Returns, 007,
Yep,
GoldenEye, Epic Mickey, Kirby's Epic Yarn. There were so many games that came out at once. They need to have another one of those, which could potentially happen. I also think that if not at E3, by the end of the year we will have our Zelda for the 3DS that they have been talking about for so long. And maybe an announcement for Majora's Mask 3D or A Link to the Past 3D remake. They'll say something about it because I'm sure they put Grezzo to work on that right afterwards because Grezzo did a great job with Ocarina of Time 3D, and it doesn't take a whole bunch of resources for it.
I'm going to punch a baby if there's a Majora's Mask 3D, not a Majora's Mask HD.
Confirmed. Mignaga punches
You heard it here,
baby.
folks. Hide your children when this announcement happens.
Hide your
I'm going to be
kids.
going all around punching babies. It's not going to be good.
So I mean, what do you guys think that we're going to see an announcement on Retro's next game before E3 or not until E3?
I think it'll be at
until
E3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really hoping for it last year, and I was incredibly disappointed when there was no mention of it, but I'm feeling it this year. Definitely.
Yeah, and we're not going to hear anything about Smash Brothers anytime soon. Like, that is
Yep.
something that
Yeah.
that's not going to happen.
I do think we may get a bit of information at E3 or afterwards, because maybe just a tiny teaser or like some kind of title or something, maybe.
Yeah,
So, like a
I'm
Wario
thinking
Not
we're
big.
probably going to get a teaser for that game because they've got like a bunch of teams working on this, and they've already got like a playable build working. So maybe they'll at least confirm some characters or something in some epic teaser that they'll show at the end of their E3 presentation.
Yeah, I
Well,
have
they
no
might-
idea what
Or they'll do
Absolutely.
like they did with Brawl and have it like shortly afterwards.
Maybe, yeah.
They almost have to. They almost have to show something. I mean, that's one of the huge things people are really looking forward to. And they did say that they want to do like a beta, like an open, like some kind of a beta test, like Sony's been doing with some of their PlayStation 3 games. So I mean, I think we will see some kind of a teaser, maybe information on when to expect a beta, because that'd be pretty cool.
That'd be awesome. Nintendo's first open beta. I think that would probably be the best thing that Nintendo could do to cement the fact that they are launching headfirst into a online scene. That would kind of everyone would be so hyped for that. And they didn't Monster Hunter 3 Tri-G HD in such a long title in Japan have a beta of some sort that came with certain Wii U's.
You're thinking of Dragon Quest X that got a
Dragon
Yeah,
Quest
Dragon
X.
Quest X did.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I mean that shows
Yes.
that at least they have.
Speaking
the
of
capability
games that we probably won't get over here,
unfortunately,
I really hope we do. I really want to see that game over here.
I think one of the best examples of using like kind of a beta type system was Bravely Default. When they were launching in Japan, they had like 4 demos go up on the eShop, and each one they like were like, "Hey, we just made a build. How do you guys like it?" and they put it up on the eShop, and people could give feedback. And I think that's one of the better ideas. Like we would have probably seen that if rest in peace Mega Man Legends 3 came into fruition, but unfortunately that never was a thing. I think they kind of got an idea from those guys doing it, and I think in 2013 we heard some rumors about Nintendo possibly doing a level editor of some sort, or a level creator in New Super Mario Brothers, and I think that would be that would be the perfect first DLC for the game, and it would be even more amazing if it was like free.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Nintendo. I mean, they've already shown that they're going to be giving any DLC for Animal Crossing for free. So I mean, why not? And I agree. Like that, what they did with Bravely Default was a really good idea. And one thing I really like about I think one thing that happened in this generation. I mean, there's many things in the current. I mean, excluding the Wii U generation, that were good. But one of my favorite things is, I mean, console betas they didn't exist. I mean, beta testing was really with MMOs or with PC games, but with the advent of online gaming, with like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox, with like their Halo betas, and PlayStation 3 having betas and stuff, I think this is something new that we're going to see more of, and I think it's a really great idea for people to do betas to really help mold their game. I really like that idea a lot.
Yeah, we talk about how we generally dislike digital distribution because of things like Nintendo Power going out of business, and because of that. But I think one of the strongest assets of this generation is the online connectivity, and how we're really actually helping developers create games and making them more of what we want them to be. So, yeah.
I completely agree. That is
even if it is for a developer to be like, don't blame us if it's bad. So you help us make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, but that's not seen very often, because you actually help them make it, and usually people give good feedback, except for the comments of, "This game sucks. You should stop developing it. It's a terrible thing. You should just stop." Which I'm sure they hear far too often.
Yes, I'm pretty with that specific voice as well. There.
Just put a sound clip into their email. That's a little overkill.
Stop developing this game. It's so stupid.
I bet
Why
Soul
you
actually
guys
does
so
this
dumb?
himself. This is like his alter ego.
Besides Carlos.
Yeah, basically.
Carlos is his own person.
No, what are you talking about?
Thank you very much.
Carlos is a real person.
Oh, sorry. I think one of the great things about digital distribution is, in digital games in general, is is like what Nintendo has done with their eShop, especially on the 3DS. They've launched more brand new IPs on the eShop this year and last year than they have, I think, ever, because they launched the new Pushmo, Sakura Samurai, Dylan's Rolling Western. They restarted like the Quetzal's Corridors. I mean, that's something that Nintendo doesn't do very often. We know them for just kind of being stagnant, but what's good about digital, like the eShop and everything like that, and all the digital distribution, is they're allowed to kind of take a few risks and make a game that's a little bit different than anything else. And I'm enjoying that about Nintendo actually kind of trying to do something new with that.
Yeah, I think being one of the people that I like collecting and having physical copies. I mean, I do prefer physical copies, but one thing about digital distribution that I really love is the fact that it does make it easier for indie developers to create their games and not have, because a lot of them never did anything, because getting it published and putting it, getting packaging and shipping it out to retail, that's expensive. And now we're able to get games that normally we would never be able to see, and a lot of them are like old school and are really new concepts that normally wouldn't be tried out by a developer who wouldn't want to risk that money. So I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah, and also 2013 should be when we see Miyamoto's first game. Like he was going to be independently developing on his own, or whatever he said he was going to do with that. I really want to see that.
There's also a rumor that because I guess Microsoft the rights they had to Fez I guess ends this year, so I heard a rumor that Fez may be coming.
Oh yeah.
I really want to play that game.
It's not so much a rumor, like Fez will be becoming multi-platform. They haven't said if it, and the rumor part is Wii U and 3DS, but it will be a multi-platform title this year.
I think
it was supposed to be Sorry, go ahead.
It'll definitely be on it'll definitely be on Steam, like PC and all that, because if I remember correctly, the developer said a while ago that if the game was on Steam, he'll be able to update it a lot easier than on Xbox Live. So.
Right. The developers.
Yeah, that's because Microsoft is a bunch of bastards who like charge you for every update. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Wasn't there a glitch with Fez that like deleted save files, and the developer couldn't pay Microsoft enough or to get the patch out that would fix that or something? I remember something about that.
I know there was a game that had an issue with that, but I don't know if it was with the Fez or not. I think that's what's going to draw a lot of people towards Wii U and the eShop, is especially if Microsoft keeps the same stance going into next generation.
Right. And Microsoft tends to like getting money from online with charging you for Xbox Live and putting advertisements on your page anyway. They just love all that money they rake in from it. It's almost annoying. In fact, it is annoying. But I'm reading an article right now.
Yeah, not quite almost. It's there.
I'm looking at the article that says developers behind Fez have confirmed that the game, that Fez is coming to other platforms in 2013. But no idea what those platforms are. So that much is confirmed.
So is there anything else you guys see happening in 2013 like that maybe we haven't heard of yet?
Maybe Bayonetta 2 coming out this year.
Oh, really? I never would have thought about that.
Well, like it might come out 2013. I don't know how long the development cycle is going to take. We don't even know how long they've been making it with Nintendo.
Yeah, we have the trailer.
Oh yeah, that's another good thing that Nintendo's been doing, is helping fund these projects that would never get funded any other way, like Bayonetta 2, for example.
Yes.
Despite all the backlash that came from it.
I think that's a good thing for Nintendo, because if people are that angry that Bayonetta 2 is going to be a Wii U exclusive, people are going to go buy a Wii U, not just sit there and complain about it.
I never understood
Well,
that. I never understood that they were all getting so mad that the game was coming out, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
Do you remember they actually had like death threats on Twitter and everything?
Oh yeah, that was
boycott page.
That was embarrassing.
Yeah, but look at it this way: like Nintendo, like threw the bait out with Bayonetta 2, which is great. But now I think they need one or two more games, to now that the bait's out, they need to like really reel like all these people in, because you got all these people ticked off, like Bayonetta 2, Wii U, blah 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 blah. This makes me so angry for no odd reason, blah blah blah, because I don't want to buy a Wii U. And now you got the bait out there. Now give them another one or two games that make them go, crap, I really have to buy a Wii U now.
I've said this once, I'll say it again. They need to. I seriously think with the way Nintendo has been cooperating with Platinum games, I think they need to just outright purchase them or something like that, because that would give them such a competitive edge to have exclusive rights to every single Platinum game that comes out, that I think a lot of people who... I vaguely remember you posting something about that.
But basically, I think because Sega isn't in good financial situations lately, and with Platinum doing all this stuff with Nintendo, there could be a potential shift there.
Can you imagine Nintendo buying Platinum and Sega at the same time?
That's what I was just about to say. Is like, if
I would probably suffer a minor stroke.
If if Nintendo bought
And not
Sega,
because I'm old.
they can slap them around a little bit and tell them no a couple of times, and then maybe they would actually like figure out. Oh wait, this is. I mean that's what Sega needed when Sonic 06 was coming out. Is Miyamoto to just walk in and go no and flip over a tea table. I mean, that's what.
Well,
That's what
yeah,
needed to
because they
happen.
just
you
have
guys
a
need to
tea
understand
table.
though. I mean, like
Like in their office, their development room, it's just a tea table sitting
yeah, just to flip.
specifically.
Well,
For
you got
flipping.
you need to understand though, the Sega that we know now is not the same Sega back then. Sega was bought out by Sammy quite a while ago, and even though they let them keep the same name, like most of the original Sega is pretty much gone. It's a completely
Yeah.
different company. So I think the way it would work would be if Nintendo bought Sega for just the IPs, or if they bought Sega and were able to, if anyone can get together like the old classics, like from Sonic Team, or from Overworks, or from some of the original studios, I think that would work, and I think Nintendo would be able to do it.
Yeah.
I-
Oh man, now I'm really wanting Nintendo to actually buy Sega. Think about it. Because I know we would see entries in franchises that we haven't seen in years. Like, we'd probably get a new Jet Set game. We would probably get, like, I don't know, maybe a new Golden Axe or something. You know, just entries in those classic franchises
Yeah.
that we haven't heard from in, like, years.
I think if they did that, it would
and
be
for
all
those
like
for those people
eShop
listening
games.
right now that are cursing us underneath their breath, I just want to say, like, anyone who doesn't think this is a good idea, you should go kill yourself. Because, like, seriously,
Oh,
I know, like, growing up, like, I've always been a diehard Sega fan, more than Nintendo, actually, and ever since the Dreamcast died, I came over to Nintendo's side. But people who are still holding on to that grudge need to really let it go, because Sega is a shadow of itself. But there's so much potential and so many great games that we'll probably never see again that Nintendo can bring back to light. I mean, my way of looking at it is, ally with, like, keep the keep the enemies of your enemies closer, or whatever like that, or something like that. So I mean, like, bring back Sega, form that new alliance against Microsoft and Sony, and I think that would be freaking unreal. That would be such a blow to Microsoft and Sony, and especially if they got Platinum as well.
We here at We Talk You Listen do not support the fact of killing yourself at all, and Tricky is in fact crazy. Please do not kill yourself and subscribe to our podcast now.
I like how you wrapped up a "Don't kill yourself" message, with "Please subscribe to our channel." Brilliant.
Exactly.
The We Talk You Listen podcast is basically the best remedy for depression, and all your diseases can just be cured instantly. Just listen to us ramble.
Just kind of skip the part where he says, "Go kill yourself," because that's not true. You are a beautiful, beautiful person.
oh, I thought I was the only beautiful person for you, but okay.
I was talking to you right now.
Ooh!
I wasn't talking to anyone else. I was talking to you.
Yeah, okay.
You're busted, Soul. Nothing you can do about it.
You've been caught red-handed.
I heard Mig say he would never do anything like that to Noon. I'm just saying.
I don't think you guys have realized that we're all married to each other, so I think that my feelings would go towards Mig as well, and Mig's feelings would go to me as well, which means that he probably has eyes for someone else as well. So,
I'm quite sure that's how that goes.
it is. But life
So do we
goes
have
on.
Life Goes On?
Life goes on.
Life goes on.
So do we have much else to talk about? We've been going a pretty long time. I think we've kind of gotten our whole thoughts and feelings on 2013 out there.
Yeah, before I actually want to bring up, because when we're talking about Project X Zone and about games that we're not seeing coming over here, there's two specific games that we're probably never going to see that, I don't know, have you guys seen anything on either Fantasy Life or Super Robot Wars?
Oh, no.
Nope.
You guys should check both of those games out for 3DS, which we'll probably never see here.
Oh, I thought
Fantasy
you
Life.
heard any news, because no, Fantasy Life is actually another game I've been wanting for a while.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what Fantasy Life is, it's on the 3DS. Actually, I think it just came out in 2 weeks ago in Japan.
Yeah.
I think It's made by Level 5, and I guess like the best way to describe it would be like a kind of like a mix between like Animal Crossing and like Harvest Moon, but with like more action, and you can actually, like instead of spending all your time like chopping wood and stuff, you can actually pick. You can be like a knight as your job, or you can be a fisherman as a job, or like a woodcutter or whatever like that. It probably sounds really cheesy, but it actually looks really awesome, and we'll probably never get it.
I can't believe I actually forgot about that game.
Yeah, Ace Attorney versus Professor Layton's another title I've been wanting to hear about, period.
Yes.
I love both franchises.
I really hope we get those.
Wait, was the new one is Ace Attorney 5? Yep.
Yeah.
Was that confirmed for Western release?
I think it was, yeah.
I recall it being confirmed.
Oh, Level 5, take my heart and soul. I've become such a level fangirl. I love it so much.
Yeah. Super Robot Wars looks pretty cool too. You guys might want to check that out, because it looks like it's a turn-based strategy RPG with mechs. Even if you're not like a mecha fan, like I know they made a Hatsune Miku mecha. They put her in there. Plus, Japan's getting a special edition 3DS, which is black with like constellations on it and like stars and stuff, and it actually looks kind of cool.
Why can't we get all these? Whatever. I'm done.
I think the moral of every story is Japan gets all the cool things, and we don't get any of the cool things.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Another thing I really want to happen, because I'm predictable like this, is Okami 3 for next gen, whatever systems. I don't care. I want it to be at least announced, because Okami HD was kind of a nod to, we still want to make this game and make these games. And Okami Den came out 2 years ago now, and I really think they just need to release Okami 3 on like Wii U and stuff like that. I don't care. It's just I really think that needs to happen, because it's just, at least on Wii U, because Wii U is just a perfect fit. It's every single input device they have ever used for an Okami game. Okami Den used the whole drawing mechanic on the screen, and the Wii version of Okami used the whole using the motion controller, and then you also have the Wii U Pro controller that you could use to play it in a more traditional style, like on the PlayStation 2. So I think it would be the perfect console to be on, and they have not finished up the story enough for me. So they need to keep making those games.
I think Wii U has the best chance, wouldn't it? I mean, technically, right now he's working on the Wonderful 101 and Bayonetta 2 under Platinum Games. So, I mean, I would imagine that because Clover became Platinum, so, I mean, I would imagine that would be its best bet, would be on Wii U.
Right, but Capcom still has the rights to Okami. So it's all up to Capcom. If it was Platinum Games still owning the rights, then yeah, it would definitely be a Wii U game, and I'm sure Japan, like Nintendo executives, would just eat up trying to put that up on the platform.
Basically,
So,
what
it kind of
Nintendo
stinks though,
should do,
because if Capcom has it, then it's not going to involve Hideki Kamiya. So would you want a new Okami under different leadership, not by the original? You know what I mean?
Well, Okami Den was developed by someone else. I don't remember the developer, but it wasn't him at all, if I recall correctly.
What Nintendo should do is,
it was still a really good game.
What Nintendo should do is buy Platinum, buy Okami, and then get Platinum to work on Okami 3 for the Wii U.
That would be amazing.
I agree. That's for another podcast. I won't talk about Okami.
Okay.
I won't talk about it any more than I already am. When Okami 3 is announced, I promise we will have a huge podcast all about it. We better have a huge podcast all about it. Hint, 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 hint.
Yep,
How
just
about
like
we just let Soul do that one all by himself?
Final.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that, just because, people need to
It'll
know.
be a
Bust
special
out
edition
puppets.
podcast that's 3 hours long, and it's just Soul talking into a mic.
What's funny is like I just realized now that Platinum is doing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. How slow am I?
What? It took you that long?
I hope Revenge.
Because I had no interest in the game, so
Oh.
I haven't really been following it. And I didn't because I'm looking at like the original guys, like the original director and producer of like Okami, to see what they're doing now, and like both of them are working on Bayonetta 2. Both of them are working on Wonderful 101, and then the one like the producer's working on Metal Gear Rising, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, Platinum Games is doing that. Okay.
Speaking of games that will be coming out in the launch windows still, do you think that Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance could be one of those games that isn't announced
No.
for it? Have they said anything
No.
about that?
No,
Definitely.
it definitely
they-
isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess
I think
Much to my
Konami.
dismay.
Well, Konami said that there was a really big argument on the forums about this because Konami said that they don't want to do it because if they did, they'd want to get the motion controls right, and they don't just want to like put it like rush it onto the system using, and then like have done control schemes on it, and then, which to me is a legitimate reason to not put the game on there. I mean, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it. But other people were getting all angry saying it's a lazy way out, and I don't agree at all with that.
Well, they could have just done a port, honestly.
Yeah, really, I feel like it is kind of a lazy way out because they could have just slapped on some tablet controls, and I would have been happy with that just to have it on the Wii U, probably.
I wouldn't be happy with that. I don't agree with that at all.
Well,
I think-
I mean, I don't really expect them to use motion controls though, because it's the Wii U, it's not the Wii. So it's
I think
like,
a lot of
Well,
move
that's the thing,
past
though,
that
is
now.
like they don't want to do that. I mean, that's the thing is like that's why like I mean, if I was a game developer and I was developing a game, and then we had a system like the Wii U that was completely different, I would really want to take advantage of that system to make it unique, and that's what they want to do. If they did it for Wii U, they'd want to make a unique experience that you wouldn't be able to get on the PS3 and 360 versions, but they don't have the time for that, so therefore they're not going to do it because. Why do something if it's not going to come out the way you want it to be
Well,
done, I guess.
that's
I
the
don't know.
whole reason Nintendo made the Wii U Pro controllers, so that developers could just be like, here's a port. That's the whole reason they did it, is because they wanted developers to just port stuff over, so they had all these games on there. And if they're not gonna go into it 110% and start working on a way to especially integrate the Wii U gamepad, just make it so it works with the Wii U Pro controller, and I'd be happy to call it a day, because if it's at least this game, you can say the game is on there and I can play it on my Wii U. I want to play stuff on my Wii U, and there's so many third-party developed games that I want to happen. But
I mean, I do. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not that I don't want to see these games, but I guess, like, if it comes down to having to purchase this game on a PS3 or 360 or play a really horribly done ported version on the Wii U, I'd rather not see that happen at all, because that only gets negative criticism then from everybody else as to why not to get a Wii U.
Yeah, but then there's the people who'd be like, oh, well, the game isn't on the Wii U, so it's a double-sided sword.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation.
Generally, I
no
feel
matter
like-
how you look at it.
a port with like just some basic tablet controls is enough for most people to probably feel satisfied. I mean, I just don't feel like.
kind of
I
like
feel
Mass
like-
Effect 3 did and Call of Duty Black
Well,
Ops
Mass
2
Effect-
did.
The bashing of Mass Effect 3's port was because of the trilogy coming out like shortly after. Not really because it was a port.
Right, but like we can just do that where, there's like maybe a map on the bottom screen, and I don't feel like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a game that can really be something that uses the Wii U gamepad in any like complex manner. It's something like Darksiders 2 would use, or something like that. And then you talked about maybe motion controls, but the PlayStation Move has motion controls as a side option. PlayStation 3 can do that. So when it comes down to it, I feel like all those reasons for them is just kind of empty to me. All right, well, that was fun. I have one other thing I kind of want to talk about, and that's Monolith Studios. They're making a game for the Wii U, and
Yep.
it's going to be a big, huge RPG. What do we think it's going to be? Like,
Well,
Not
there
Xenochronicles
was
2, they already said, so...
there was one quote. I think at one point they said that they wanted it to rival Western RPGs like Skyrim because they wanted to prove that JRPGs could be better than them again. So it could be something more like open world and ambitious like that, I think.
I think
But still with
that
it.
would be.
I would agree with that.
Still with a distinctly Japanese style, I think. They're not going to stray from that, but I feel like
Yeah,
it's
they
going to
need
take
to,
some
though.
inspiration.
Yeah, if they don't add, if they have like that Western style without the Japanese style, I mean, then, I don't know. I mean, I don't see it. I think they need to be able. And I think we talked about this last time. Is that like they need to make a game that still has like that unique Japaneseness to it, but take some of the better points of Western games. So, we know it's not going to be Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because they already said that. So, I still think it's going to be a big RPG, but I agree with what you said, Dudley. I think it's going to be something more open world, more Western style.
I think it's still going to have its own Japanese flair to it because they're not going to completely alienate their own audience, but they're going to try and push it in that direction. I agree. But when do you guys think it's going to come out or be announced or anything like that? Do you think we're going to hear about this at E3? I think that would be a really
E3
good time
sounds
to
likely,
hear about it.
I think. E3 sounds likely. But...
Yeah, I think we'll get at least some little bit of information at E3 because Xenoblade has been out in Japan for like 2 years at this point, and that's plenty of time to put together a playable build of something and make a trailer and be ready to announce something.
That's assuming that they started working on it right after.
Well, what else would they do after they finish Xenoblade?
Well, also,
Vacation in Brazil, hello.
Or flip tea tables, one of the two.
Xenoblade has been done in Japan for like 3 years or something like that now. It's been done
Yeah, that's
for
what I
a
was saying.
long time. Yeah,
Is that
and
it's been out for that long.
I guess I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. But but my point there is, like, even if they did take a long vacation in Brazil, that's still plenty of time to get enough, like at least a beta build up. I think that's
Exactly.
the point where they're in, and we might see the game by the end of this year. But and that's assuming it doesn't take the kind of development time that Skyward Sword and all Zelda games take, which is forever.
Well, even still, they can show off something. I mean,
Right.
If that'll give them quite a bit of popularity at E3, as if they show off like this epic RPG that's coming exclusively to Wii U. So I think that'd be a good thing for them to just announce, even if it's not 100% ready to go or something to that effect.
All right. Well, does anyone else have anything to add?
Nope.
All right. Well, that was We Talk You Listen. Thanks for joining us, everyone. I thought that went better than.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very
Wow.
much to listening to our first ramble of the year.
Woohoo! Yeah. Happy New Year, everyone. That's the thing.
Happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my friends.
May 2013 be one of the best gaming years ever.
Please.
I agree with that statement.
It's already
May it be
started.
better than last year.
The game's coming out, making me so happy.
Fire Emblem Awakening. Yeah.
Do it.
All right.
Buy it.
That was the only squee this podcast.
Noon, you gotta up
Yeah.
your ante.
That's good for listeners' ears.
So we can keep them listening for more We Talk You Listen podcasts. That is all, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Later.